So yeah, let's get started. So today, we are going to talk about 5 things every Salesforce developer should know about MuleSoft, and this is the first time I'm doing it, so I was expecting all these things to happen. So yeah, a brief introduction about myself. My name is Akshata Sawant. I'm working as a senior developer advocate at Salesforce. I have been in the MuleSoft community for like 6-7 years now, 5-6 years, yeah. I've been MuleSoft ambassador, meetup leader. I've been a global speaker. I recently co-authored a book as well, MuleSoft for Salesforce Developers, which I have with me, and I'll be giving it away at the end of the session. Apart from this, I'm a foodie traveler. I love photography, and I would love to connect with you guys over socials. So here are my credentials. So the agenda for today's session, what you can expect. So firstly, we'll be definitely discussing about 5 things every Salesforce developer should know about MuleSoft, and some quick learning tips and tricks. And then we'll have trivia quiz and like a Q&A if you have any. So a forward-looking statement before we get started, because there are some products which we'll be discussing about. Yeah. So yeah, let's get started. So here, I guess I'm assuming like most of you guys, you all are from Salesforce background and like are dealing with like CRM tools and like everything like from Salesforce. So you guys are quite new to MuleSoft, and you must be wondering that why do I need to learn MuleSoft, or what is it like I should be knowing about MuleSoft, and why is it actually important? So we have seen the 360 customer wheel, we have seen where MuleSoft fits in. But at the same time, you must be also thinking that we have like, we have connected systems, we can directly connect to different end systems, different data systems and all directly from the Salesforce platform. So in that case, why is it actually necessary that we need MuleSoft, or we need an integration tool to help us out when we have all the facilities, all the connectors available, and so many things already existing in Salesforce? So hang in there. So the answer would be like, MuleSoft is not just about integration tool. There is so much more to offer other than just plain integration. We'll be definitely seeing about all of that in the session ahead. But apart from that, like why it is necessary for you, like why it is a high time, I would say, to learn MuleSoft is because you can actually connect with every cloud, every systems, every end system using MuleSoft. You have connectors, you have accelerators, which we'll be talking about today. And there are so much more reasons which we'll definitely find throughout the session that why it is important and why it is the right time to get started with MuleSoft and upskill yourself. So among the 5 things, like, so before we actually go into like what are the 5 things, what you need to know. So firstly, like for the ones who are completely unaware about like oblivious about what MuleSoft is, so it's a middleware integration tool that you have been like, that you must have heard somewhere. But more than that, it's like, it provides you an entire API management solution. You can actually manage the entire API lifecycle. And it's not just about integration or APIs. There is so much more to offer when it comes under integration ecosystem. And now with the automation, the API, the automation part, which is like the composer, the RPA, it's taking it to a whole new level. So it's API, it's integration, it's automation, and there is so much more. Apart from that, you can actually connect to any system, any legacy system or any end system which you want to connect from like anywhere, no matter where your application is hosted, no matter what your application is doing or where it stands, what actually the functionality is, you can actually connect, you can build a composable and a reusable infrastructure using MuleSoft. Apart from that, there is end-to-end automations available. So if you have some manual repetitive task which you want to get automated, you can do it along with your integration. So you're taking your integration to a whole new level with MuleSoft. So the traditional idea that it was just an ESB or it was just an integration tool no longer exists. It's actually so much more to integration. We'll just talk about it as well. And the next one, you can build your APIs, you can scale your APIs across systems. So if you have heard about API-led connectivity or building a composable architecture, so you can take an example like we are having a jigsaw model, or maybe what we call it, Lego blocks. So we are connecting the Lego blocks similarly like we have a different end system, different applications. So you're connecting them using MuleSoft, and you can scale it to your level. So even if you're having an old banking application which is residing somewhere in silo, you can still bring out the data from there and you can get connected. You're unlocking the different end systems using MuleSoft. So with that, let's get ahead and let's like see what is the first one. So out of the 5, the first one is building faster with Salesforce. So this is the thing, like how are you going to build faster with Salesforce, or what are the what is the way to build faster with Salesforce, so how you can accelerate your development with MuleSoft and Salesforce. So the key to it is using the MuleSoft accelerators. So basically what are accelerators? So accelerators are providing templates. They're actually packaged one which will be providing you API specifications. They'll provide you with the code, the architecture graph. So whenever you're starting with a new project, right? Suppose if I'm working on a new connection or new integration, connecting from Sales Cloud to Sales Cloud to MuleSoft or some legacy system or anything. So I do not have to start from scratch. I already have some assets available which I can reuse, which I can use in my project, and that is actually reducing my time to market. I'm speeding up my development. And with all these templates available, if you are someone who's a new Salesforce developer, it actually provides you a template like what is right, what is wrong, what are the best practices I should be knowing. So let us head over to any point platform. In this session, we are actually going to be like less of slides and more of the demo kind of part. Like we'll actually see what we can build, what we can get out of it. So if you guys have any questions, we'll just address all of them towards the end. And yeah. Let's go to Anypoint platform. So Anypoint platform, this is the iPaaS tool, MuleSoft's iPaaS tool, which is like responsible for entire API management. You can build, design, manage, scale your APIs and everything at one single place. So it's like one place thing. So as I told you, how are we going to accelerate our development? So for that, we have accelerators. And what are accelerators? They are packages or they are templates which are present. Okay. So right now we are in Anypoint Exchange. Which is like a central repository. So before you start developing, as any developer, we would first like to see if we have any assets which are pre-existing, which we can reuse, which can make most out of it. So if you see over here, there are different types of, I'm in MuleSoft, provided by MuleSoft. MuleSoft already provides the different kinds of assets, connectors, and everything. So for example, if I want to, and these accelerators, you have accelerators for Health Cloud, Data Cloud, and different types of cloud. And it's not just across clouds, it's also across different industry verticals. So for finance sector, for different marketing sector, human resource sector, we have accelerators for them. So let me go to one of the accelerator. I can just type and it should be available. Yeah, accelerator for sales contract system API. So if I'm going into this accelerator, it will be providing me specification, it will be providing me the integration template if I want to open. And this is actually the endpoint. Along with it, yeah, let me go to the first accelerator page as well. Yeah, this is the accelerator page. What is a MuleSoft accelerator and what are the different accelerators available? We have one for financial services, healthcare, life science, manufacturing. And not just the accelerators, you have the architectural diagrams and everything. Yeah, so this is the one I was talking about. You have different use cases which you can refer to. So if you are someone who's completely new to MuleSoft, and if you're thinking like, what kind of use case can I refer to? What are the things I should be knowing, or what is something like a template? So I can definitely use this thing. And this is something like downloadable. So if you see, we have got API specification, we have got implementation template as well. So I can actually go ahead into it, I can download it. And once it is downloaded, this is more like a financial core system. I can just download it and import this right away in my studio, which is like the Anypoint Studio, and start my development. So once you have imported it into your studio, you don't have to like write the code and everything from scratch. You just have to configure the credential, make some tweaks as per your requirements, as per your project requirements, and you're good to go. So that's all about accelerators we have. Okay. The next one would be leveraging the MuleSoft connectors. So similar to MuleSoft accelerators, we have MuleSoft connectors. So there are almost around like 300 connectors which will help you to like connect with different end systems directly. All you need to do is different end systems and also the different APIs. Even if you don't have a connector, I mean, if there is a very legacy application for which you don't have a connector, you can build your custom connector. You can customize a pre-existing connector as well as per your requirement. So let us see like what's more about connectors. So you can get information about connectors on Exchange as well, but we'll see on Anypoint Studio. We are still currently on Anypoint platform, and we are seeing like what are the different types of connectors we have. If you just type Salesforce here, you can see what are the different connectors. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually giving me all kinds of results, and the category would be just connector if I'm applying. So I see what are the different Salesforce connectors we have for MuleSoft, for Data Cloud, for B-commerce Cloud, CRM Analytics, and all of them. So moving ahead, let me go to the Anypoint Studio. Okay. Yeah, here we are. This is also the example of Accelerator, the project which we downloaded previously. So once you import it into your studio, you can actually, this is how the template would look like for an Accelerator as well. And you need to just do some tweaks and tricks, and like you can just start working on it. Moving on to connector. So as you see, there is a Salesforce connector over here. Let me just maximize the screen. Okay. So yeah, this is here. So you have different operations which you can perform using the Salesforce connector, and it is not just this connector. You can actually go ahead, you can search from Studio as well in Exchange, and you can see like what are the different connectors we have, and you can just add it into your palette. Okay, it will be as per your needs. So if you see over here, there is a Data Cloud connector, pops up connector. Let me just add a Data Cloud connector. So, and then click Finish. It will be appearing the Salesforce CDP. And if you want to use any of this connector, suppose if this is the project which I'm going to use, and I can just drag and drop over here, and that's all. I just need to go ahead, click and do my configuration stuff, which could be like the connector configuration, creating a job ID, and that's how you're easily able to connect to any end system. So this is all about MuleSoft connector, and these are like, you almost have like for every Salesforce system you do have a connector, but if there is anything which is missing out, you can go ahead and create your own customized connector. Cool. So yeah. Okay. Moving on to the third one, okay, automating the experience. So we have seen about the integration part, we have seen what connectors and all we have. So how are we trying to, like, taking it to a next level? How are you going to take it to a next level? Will be like via automation. So automation is definitely the key. And what do we have here for automation is Anypoint, MuleSoft's Composer for Salesforce. And I guess you guys must be actually familiar to this because this is residing in Salesforce ecosystem, like the Composer. So you're integrating without coding and with clicks, which is faster for you. It definitely, I mean, if you are someone who's actually not going for a full-fledged integration with MuleSoft, and you want something like easy, simple with just clicks, we can opt ahead for MuleSoft Composer. So it actually provides you like a 360-degree approach to connect with different end systems or data. So we'll also have a look about, we'll see, yeah, you can take a picture. So we'll see what Composer is. This is how the platform looks like. Definitely you need access to this. You need some configurations to be done and some premium kind of access to get access to MuleSoft Composer. But this is residing in your familiar environment, which is like the Salesforce environment. So once you have access to Composer, once everything is set up, permissions and everything is done, you can just go ahead and create a flow. And I'll show you like how easy it is actually to create a flow in Composer. Because as a Salesforce developer, you must be like, it must be something not too difficult, but it must be like, it'll take efforts to actually go learn MuleSoft and all, though it's easy, but still. But this is something actually in your platform, your system, and you can learn. So you have different system integrators, similar to what we have connectors in MuleSoft, on MuleSoft side, we have system events over here. So if you see, these are a few, but there are a few more coming, and they keep changing, they keep updating the system connectors as well. And you can click on any of the system connector. They are like just like the connectors we have in MuleSoft. And you also have, if you want to go without connectors, this is, you can also go with a scheduler kind of thing, like when do you want your flow to be triggered. So similarly to what we create a flow in MuleSoft or any other place, we're just creating a flow. And suppose if I'm triggering my flow every 30 minutes, I can click plus and I can go ahead and stick my next actions. So I'm actually building a flow, I'm building an integration, and I'm not writing any code here. So that is the beauty of it. I can choose connections, like I can choose if-else block or for each or what kind of routers I want. I can choose any system integrators as well. I can choose more connectors if I want. So let me just go ahead and click if and else. So this is like condition clause which I'm sending, and then the current timestamp or whatever, if it equals to something, and I can just give it some value. So once you're done building this flow, you can actually go ahead, you can save this flow, you can activate the flow to be in use. Before activating, you can also give it some name, you can test the flow, and that's how. So you don't have to be an expert or someone. If someone from a non-tech background is also looking into like getting on coding, getting on integration, this is something for you guys. You can actually learn, and there are training courses and everything available, so you can definitely use them out. So once we are done with the MuleSoft Composer, that is definitely something very useful for you guys. Moving on to the next one would be RPA. Has anyone here heard about RPA? MuleSoft's RPA? Yeah, cool. So RPA is something which will be like robotic process automation. So it's, as the name says, it's going to be like automating your task. So if there are any daily tasks like repetitive tasks like file things which you want to like copy from one file to another, or you want to create some same events, or you want to choose some selected fields and they want to be like highlighted or anything. Basically any task which you think which is manual, which is like unstructured, you can get it structured, you can record your entire sequence. So there is something called as RPA recorder, using which you can record it for once and it will be like you're actually training the process. And I guess with more and more things coming out like the Einstein GPT, and there's so much more coming out on the AI side, data cloud side and all these things. With all this, I think it's actually important to step up and to get into automation part as well, because going down the line, it's going to happen that all these things are going to be interconnected and we need to upgrade ourselves, we need to be like on the base. So yeah, with RPA, you can actually capture the customer data, you can create a flow, you can automate your processes, and that's how it is. So do we give it a try? I am also working on the RPA part, so let's see. It's definitely interesting because that is something new and something which you have never done before. So yeah. Moving on to the fourth one place top for all. So since the beginning of presentation, I have been saying that MuleSoft is like one place top for all, because that is one integration platform which gives you everything, right from building your APIs, designing your APIs, and then once you are done designing, once your application has been into production, you can still manage your application, you can log, you can have your insights and everything at one place. So let us see what actually we mean by one place thing. So let me take you over to Anypoint Studio, Anypoint platform. And by the way, this Anypoint platform, if you are someone who wants to try it out, if you want to see like what are the options available, what are the features available, it's for free. You can just go ahead and create a login. It's free for 30 days. So you can just create an account and try out all the features. We'll also see about the training and all, like how do you actually get started with MuleSoft towards the end of this session, like if you are completely new. So API manager is like the boss, like which actually manages. So no matter where your API or application is hosted, even if it is not a Mule application, if it is a non-Mule application, it is built using Java, Ruby, Scala or any other programming language, you can still manage your applications at one place. So here you can see the runtime label, but it has not labeled as Mule4, but it has not to be Mule4. It could be hosted anywhere. Let me just show you an instance. If I'm adding a new API, so we have different kinds of gateway. We have Flex Gateway, which is a new one. It's an ultra-fast gateway. Oh, by the way, what is gateway? Gateway is more like a gatekeeper. So suppose if there are different applications, it's more like a watchman kind of thing for your building. So if there is a new API request coming, just like the way you have to present your ID cards, credentials to watchman or maybe a swiping machine, similarly a gateway will check if your request is authenticated, if it's validated or not. Only then it will be like providing access to it. So it's more of a security part. So we are taking care of everything at one place, like the logging, monitoring, security, managing your APIs, applications, and doesn't matter where your application is hosted, if it is a Mule application, if it is non-Mule, if it is hosted on MuleSoft's Cloud Hub, or if it's hosted AWS, GPs, like wherever it wants to be. So if I want to create a new gateway, I can just go ahead and I'll show you like what are the different options which we have, what are the different options available. So you can see, you can just select your OS environment where you want it to be. If you want it to be customized, if you want Kubernetes environment or OpenShift or anything. So that is the flexibility that MuleSoft is actually providing you, and with the API manager you can, and even as a developer, if you want to set up your own gateway, if you're someone who's excited, because we usually keep trying these things. So you can see there are steps given over here. So you can just go around and play around with the steps and just try out like what are the different options available, how can you have it in your own environment, how does it perform, and all of those. So yeah, let us go ahead and see some of the pre-existing gateways. Okay, I do have some API instances already created, so I can just go into customer profile instance. So if you see over here, I can actually get all the key metrics. I can set some alerts as well. So if there is anything suspicious or wrong, I'll be getting an alert. Okay, I can create some API contracts. So if suppose if there is a person who is like completely non-technical, he's from the UI end, and if they want to test our APIs as well, so I can give them access to my APIs, and they don't have to be onboarded on a platform. They can still like test our APIs or mock our APIs, mock our endpoints. Okay. The next one being policies, which are like my personal favorites as well, because there's so much you can do with the policies, right? Like you have policies from security perspective, you can improve the quality of service of your APIs. There are compliance policies like client ID enforcement, transformation policies, header injections and all. So traditionally you must have seen that to implement all these policies and all, you actually need to be, I mean from the security perspective at least, you need to be a security expert or something. But with API Manager, it's actually quite easy. Like you can just go into any of the policy. Like suppose if I'm having JWT validation to be applied. So I can just go ahead and I can click apply and my policy is implemented. It's that simple. So, and all of these things, they're actually documented quite well, and even if you're completely like a newbie or something, you have everything available on MuleSoft documentation to get started. So, and apart from this, like these are some pre-existing policies which you have, but if you want to implement something completely out of the box, you can design your own policy as well, just like the way you can design a custom connector. Similarly, you can have a custom policy. Yeah, so I know this can be a bit overwhelming or maybe, but this is something for you to know that we have something like this available, because you guys might not be having a Mule application or so, but you could be having different applications which are non-Mule, which are also on different environments. But if you're like going ahead with this, that you can actually manage everything at one place. Even if you're having hundreds of thousands of APIs, they all could be like just imagine how easy it is when you create some groups. Like you can create your API groups, kind of this, and you can actually create clusters, like all your policies and everything are managed at one place. You can create groups of policies, like these are the policies which don't require authentication, they're easy to go, and I'm not going to apply something difficult on this. So they'll be categorized as one group, and like as per your, I mean you can just customize and play around with it, your APIs, your policies. Moving on to the next part, okay. Yeah, don't be afraid to design your APIs. This comes because you guys are mainly from the CRM and Salesforce side, and we are already having a tool and everything. So designing an API seems something like far-fetched, like I need to be an API designer, I need to know the syntax and everything. How am I going to design an API? What is RAML? What is OS? There are so many things, so many confusion, there's so much chaos around it. Like, how I need to be particular about the formatting stuff and everything. I'm still a beginner, how will I design an API? So don't be afraid, keep all the 4 things which we have learned previously in mind, that we have templates, we have connectors, we have templates basically. So if you download a particular template, it will be giving you a template for API as well, how your API should be looking like. You can actually use it as a reference or a base something, and you can get started. But this is not coming from the template, this is coming from the fact that Anypoint platform, it makes it easier for you to design an API as well. So Design Center is the place where we actually design our APIs. You can design REST APIs, you can design it using RAML or OS. So these are the 2 languages which are quite popular. So I can just go ahead, I can click on new API specification, okay, and if I'm comfortable, if I'm someone who's like pro at creating API, I'll just go ahead and design my own API. But if I'm someone who's completely new, who's like still getting on it, new to MuleSoft, I can just say that guide me through it. I need some help, and I'll design something like customer, okay, my spellings, customer API, and create an API specification. So this is a guided process which will be actually helping you throughout your API designing journey. So while it's been loading, okay, Yeah, so this is how the interface will look like. So you need to just give some name to your API, customer name, and as I'm typing, if you can see on the right hand side, it's been generated. I can select the protocols, HTTP, HTTPS, I can select the media type that I want, base URI if you have any, and if you see the API is automatically been generated, I do not have to type anything, or you can also change the format as per your requirements. It could be RAML, RESTful API modeling language, or it could be OAS, Open API specification. And you can just download this API, you can share it with your collaborators or anyone like from your team, from your GUI guys, the front end guys basically who want to mock the API. So even before your API, you're starting to build your API, you're actually having an idea like how your API looks like. So I can give it all the name, I can give it a version, okay. I can have the resources for it, I can have data types. Let me just click on this thing, yeah. I can create an end method. So if you're aware about the REST APIs and the SOAP APIs, when it comes to REST API, we can have different name. You can get customer, okay. You can just give the name as customer API. Okay, the responses, you can add some responses. It could be 200 OK0, 200 OP, whatever description you want to write. You can add some query parameters if you want. So all these things definitely, if you just go through the documentation part, you'll know what an API is and how it should be. But creating and designing an API is also very simple using the design center. So that's the whole point of it. Okay. So let us see some of the pre-existing. Okay, sorry, you can take pictures. And once you're done designing your API, you can just publish this APIs to Exchange. Exchange is where the repository is. So you're actually building reusable assets. You're building some reusable APIs as well. So when you're going for a new project, if there is a new requirement or something, you don't have to build all the APIs from scratch. You can use your fragments. So fragments could be like the error handling part or the logging monitoring part. So this is something which you do not have to build all the time constantly for all projects. You can just build it one, and that will be more of a repository for you or asset for you, which you can reutilize later. So yeah, this is how it is. We'll be publishing to Exchange. I do have some pre-existing APIs which we can also try out. Like let's go to the design center and see how the mocking service feels. Okay. So let me go to customer system API, and yeah. Also, if you see to the bottom, this is the jar which we had downloaded previously when we were dealing with the templates and the accelerators. So this will be like this is a full-fledged Mule project which you can import in the studio. Yeah. So this is how the customer API, system API looks like, an example of API. Okay. I can mock any of the endpoints. There are different endpoints which are present over here. I can just try them out. Click try it, and you can just enter the customer ID field. It's actually not validating the request, but you are just mocking the API. So you get a feel like what a response should be, how the API looks like and everything. Okay, so you can actually validate this response with your collaborators, project owners and all, if this is giving a proper response or not, if there are any changes. And once you have a go-to from them, you can take this ahead while building the application. So you're actually saving the efforts of reiterating at the later stages. So this is all about API designing, and you've seen like how easy it is actually to design an API, and you do not have to be a pro at all if you're designing an API. You can just go ahead and design your API. Okay. So yeah, we have seen over Anypoint platform how do we design the API, and what else? You actually have seen like we have different connectors and all, but apart from that, you can actually like, once I had worked on a project which was like Einstein Analytics and MuleSoft. So we were actually like wherever your data is located, it's hosted on. So you can collaborate, you can gain insights for your projects and stuff, monitoring part. So you can actually connect MuleSoft, Tableau, MuleSoft, Einstein Analytics. So you're also getting a proper like whatever information basically you have in silos, you can just connect them. You're unlocking your data and getting insights, analytics. You can also do this in real time with MuleSoft, of course. And the next part which you have for you is Anypoint Code Builder's VS Code plugin. So we have seen Anypoint Studio, right? The MuleSoft based Eclipse Studio where we were designing the Mule application, we were dragging and dropping. So similar thing will be available in Visual Studio Code. So it will be GA out in later this year, but it's currently available in beta. Okay. And you can actually go ahead and try out Anypoint Code Builder, because that is something which is in Visual Studio Code. So you do not have to use Eclipse-based platform, and it will be also available on cloud. So you have a cloud-based studio or a Visual Code plugin, VS Code plugin, whichever is comfortable for you. And you can start building Mule application in VS Code itself. So apart from that, what else we have more is the data weave, the Apex for data weave, which is also in plan. So yeah. Summing it up, we have seen what are the 5 points, and do let me know what do you think about it. So the first one was like building faster with Salesforce using accelerators, how easy it is to use the accelerator down to the templates, and they are kind of a reference for you. Second one was using the connectors. So we have different connectors, around 300 plus connectors to connect to different end systems. You can automate your services using MuleSoft Composer. You can use MuleSoft RPA. And then the API manager is actually a one-place stop for managing all your Mule and non-Mule APIs, no matter where they are hosted on. And last, don't be afraid to design your API. We have seen how easy it is to design your API, the RESTful APIs using OS, RAML, any language you're comfortable with. The next step, you can join us. Like if you're actually interested in getting to know more about the MuleSoft community, we have a mega meetup coming up. You can join us. It's on 29th of June. You can also get MuleSoft trained and certified. So the first level course, which is like, and yeah, the mega meetup is in London. So if you guys can, let's catch up there again. The MuleSoft training and certification, the level 1 certification for MuleSoft is free of cost, the training and certification both. So if you want to upskill yourself, you can just check it out. And you can also try Anypoint platform for free. It's 30 days free trial thing, which you can definitely try out. Like, yeah. The next one, I recently co-authored the book MuleSoft for Salesforce Developers. You can find it on Amazon and Pack, and I'm also giving this one away for free. I just have one question, so whoever answers it gets the book. It is like, where do you find connector for Sales Cloud in MuleSoft? What is the component? What is the capability? Where do you actually find the connectors? Where do you find all the assets and everything? Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, sorry. And yeah, if there are any questions, you can ask me. You can also join MuleSoft's community group on the Trailblazers site, and you can connect with me over socials. Yeah.
I noticed you were saying that you can actually take existing pre-packaged APIs and pull them into MuleSoft on there. Does that mean that you can take one written, say, in Talent?
Yeah.
And then say, take this pre-packaged jar file and get it to run inside MuleSoft?
Yeah, the one which we have downloaded, this was a pre-packaged jar file, and I can actually import this in my studio. So if you see, this is the accelerator customer profile. So yeah, this is actually a pre-packaged jar which was available, and I have just imported it in my studio. So all you need to do is go into File, Import, Import, and you will be having the project ready for you. So you just need to go ahead, you can change configuration, you can delete what you don't need, you can add what you need as per your project and customize it. Yeah. Yes?
So in a lot of projects, when you work on APIs and bigger integrations, if you're working with an ESB, one of the challenges we have is managing transactionality. So
managing?
Transactionality.
Yeah.
So when there is an integration that fails and the data has already been pushed to the other end, or the source of data has changed the attributes of the data, but then you have to roll back because the process has failed. Is that something that you can configure in the tool?
Yeah, so that's the beauty. Like when you're working with MuleSoft, the coding part is already taken care of. So that allows you to work more on the integration part of the patterns and all. So we have different messaging pattern, different queuing patterns. So when you're saying about the reliability, in this case, you can definitely go for queues. And MuleSoft supports queues, like you have persistent queues, non-persistent queue, like Anypoint MQ, JMS queue, or the queuing system basically. So if you're going for something like reliability patterns, so you can definitely take a look on that, like you can just use that thing.
Does the application store the data in a middleware before just to
Yeah,
handle
it
data
will be-
quality, data
yes.
integrity? Yes.
Yeah, it will be storing on cloud. If I can show you, do we have some time? Yeah. So if you can go ahead and at any point, runtime manager, you can have queues where you can store the data. It could be persistent if you want until the data is properly processed. So
Okay. Yeah, that was the question actually.
okay, cool. All right.
So, and the other question was, how is this priced?
How is this priced? Okay, I'm not supposed to be answering that, but yeah, I think we are
Yeah, but
over
what's the
time
model
as well.
for pricing without not knowing the price? Just what is the model for pricing?
Okay, I think it should be pay as you go, but I'm not sure. I'm not supposed to be answering that.
Okay.
I have no idea about it as well.
All right.
Cool. We are over time, and I hope, yeah. I think we can take the questions. So yeah, we're done, but we'll be taking the questions.
With the MuleSoft Composer, can I use the same connectors as with the full MuleSoft?
Yeah, it is full MuleSoft. I mean, it's actually in your platform, and you do have some connectors, but you do not have like, it's full. It's providing you all the integration stuff, and yeah, you can map different data. You can perform transformations as well, but it won't be. It's still in progress, I would say. Yeah, it's still in the initial stage, and yeah. But definitely you will, there is more on the MuleSoft side when it comes to integration, but Composer is something like easy integration for you, like at the initial level. If there is something, if you're not going for a very complex systems and they are like quite easy ones, you can definitely do using Composer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for the talk. So what's your recommendation of using MuleSoft with Data Cloud?
Okay. Yeah. So MuleSoft with Data Cloud, we are still like, there's actually many options available. I have personally not tried it, but we are on the process of trying it out. So we do have accelerators for MuleSoft for Data Cloud. We have connectors for it. So if you're having different other end systems as well, and Data Cloud and MuleSoft, you should go ahead with it, I would say.
So there are connectors.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do have connector for Data Cloud, CDP one. Yeah, and we are still working on the use case. I'm working with Danielle, who is the Data Cloud expert here. So if you have any queries, you can just reach out to her.
What we've seen is that there's market overload. People are buying really expensive technology, but they're really not making the most out of it.
We want to show people can strategize now to plan for the future and plan to kickstart those projects.